I used to be a Weird Warriors kid. Now I'm a Weird Warriors adult. Each week I'm discussing a chapter of the iconic books by Aaron Hunter. My name is Charlie, and in today's episode I will be talking about Prophecies Begin, Book 1, Into the Wild, Chapter 25. Join me and my cat Lucky on this adventure into the world of warrior cats. This is an exciting episode because it's the last chapter of the first book of Warriors. So, on a personal level, this is just proof to myself that I can do this. I started a podcast and I've seen it through 25 chapters of a book, and it's just super exciting to me. And this is proving to myself, I can keep doing this. I don't know how long this podcast will last, but even just finishing one book is a huge accomplishment for me. So I'm really excited to finish this episode up and move on to the next book. I am going to have a bunch of bonus content right after this episode of reacting to different YouTube videos related to Warriors, and I'm going to deep dive into the allegiances pages at the beginning of this book as well. So if you'd like to access that kind of thing, as well as the spoiler extended versions of each episode, and oh, he found it. He found my mascot. I was trying to hide it from him. But yeah. So if you want access to those extra things as well as the comment section, then you can subscribe for just $5 a month on Substack. And to those of you who are already subscribed, thank you so much. It's one person currently, so thank you. I'm aiming to have this be more of a full-time thing for me eventually, if possible. That would be a dream, to be a full-time content creator, whether it be through this podcast, original music, and I also have a doll channel. I'll link my links in the description of this episode, but I don't want to work in retail the rest of my life. So if you are interested in this podcast and seeing bonus stuff, and you want to support my dreams of not having to work in retail forever, consider subscribing. Of course, I know it's rough out there for everybody right now, unless you're a billionaire. So please don't feel pressured to spend money if you can't afford it. I completely understand, but if you can, and if subscribing would bring joy to your life, then consider doing so. Oh, Lucky's being so cute. He's so cute. He's still looking for the mascot to play with, but I've got it in my hand here. But anyway, let's dive into this episode. The chapter art for chapter 25 is the same as the cover art, where it is Firepaw, or Rusty, looking at the viewer right after he has the battle where his collar is ripped off and he is surrounded by ThunderClan looking at him. Now, this is such a great way to wrap it up, having this be the art for this final chapter based on how this chapter ends. So let's get into it. So Firepaw and Graypaw and the rest of the ThunderClan patrol arrive back at ThunderClan, and Frostfur is waiting very sadly, but when she can smell that her kits are nearby, she gets excited and happily reunites with her kits. And Yellowfang's kind of waiting back, and Bluestar asks if the kits are all right, and Whitestorm says yes. And Bluestar says, "Well done, Whitestorm. ThunderClan honors you." I really think White Storm should be deputy instead of Tiger Claw. White Storm gives credit to Firepaw for finding the kits, but Tiger Claw asks why they brought the traitor back, and Firepaw defends Yellowfang. And Graypaw says they should check between Spotted Leaf's claws to find the brown fur of Clawface, not Yellowfang's gray fur. Which also they're saying Yellowfang has gray fur. That's what I thought. But in the Warriors plushies that have been out, I have the boxes for them over there, I think. Her fur looks a lot more black than gray. Like, I guess you could argue that it's dark gray. It just makes it look like her fur is black, but her fur is definitely gray. Anyway, Mouse Fur goes over to check where Spotted Leaf's body is still lying there, but it says it's waiting for its dawn burial. And Mouse Fur says Graypaw is right. Spotted Leaf was not attacked by a gray cat. And Tiger Claw's like, but that doesn't mean she didn't help take the kits. But Firepaw insists that without Yellowfang they couldn't have saved the kits. She risked her life helping them with the battle with ShadowClan and defeating Broken Star. And White Storm says he's right. Yellowfang is a friend. And Blue Star says she's glad to hear it. And Frostfur asks if Broken Star's dead, and White Storm says no, but he'll never lead ShadowClan again. And White Storm explains to Blue Star that they made a deal with ShadowClan that they'd leave them in peace until the next full moon. And Blue Star thinks that's a good idea. And I explained in my last episode why I thought that was kind of a weird offer. I guess it seems like it should just be a given, not something that you even need to offer in the first place. Blue Star says, Yellowfang, I wish you to replace Spotted Leaf as Medicine Cat to ThunderClan. I understand that that's what Yellowfang is doing, is replacing Spotted Leaf, but I don't like the word replacing because Spotted Leaf isn't replaceable. You know, it's more like, Yellowfang, I wish you to take over as our new Medicine Cat, or Yellowfang, I wish you to become ThunderClan's new Medicine Cat. Because saying replacing Spotted Leaf is just, it kind of rubs me the wrong way, you know? And it says the other cats' tails were flicking with excitement. Now, I don't know why they would be excited about this. I guess sometimes excitement doesn't always mean positive. It could mean like anxiousness, I guess. But I thought that wording was a little confusing because they just went from thinking this cat is evil to realizing she was actually the one who saved them, to now realizing she's replacing a beloved cat as their medicine cat. So I feel like excitement would not really be the emotion you'd be feeling in that situation. I feel like it'd be more like mourning, confusion, and like whiplash from the sudden change in perception of this cat. But Frostfur nods at Yellowfang in approval. Sigh. This is finally resolved. Finally. That was like a big underlying plot of this book, was all the cats, especially Frostfur, distrusting Yellowfang. And Yellowfang says, thank you, Blue Star. ShadowClan is not the clan I once knew. ThunderClan is my clan now. And Firepaw is very happy that the old she-cat he had come to love would be his clan's medicine cat from now on. But then he feels grief for Spotted Leaf, knowing that he'll never see her in her clearing again. Then Blue Star asks where Ravenpaw is, and Tiger Claw's like, yeah, strange that he'd disappear with Broken Star. But Firepaw says, if you think he might have been helping Broken Star, then you're wrong. Ravenpaw is dead. We found his body in ShadowClan territory. He must have been slain by a ShadowClan patrol. And then he tells Blue Star, I'll tell you everything later. And Yellowfang looks at Firepaw questioningly, but Firepaw looks at her with a silent plea to not say anything, and she twitches her ears in understanding and looks away. I love that they have that connection now where they can just look at each other and kind of like communicate with each other. Like, wait, like, don't say anything. Trust me on this. Like, I'll explain later. You know, like, I love that. Now, I'm not sure why it doesn't show like White Storm being confused along with the rest of the clan, because they just went on this whole mission with Firepaw and he said nothing about Ravenpaw being dead. So you'd think there would just be a line in here about them looking shocked as well, you know. But then Tiger Claw says, "I never said that Ravenpaw was a traitor." Maybe you didn't to the entire clan, but you heavily, heavily implied it. And you definitely said it to Darkstripe and Longtail. And Tiger Claw briefly looks sad and says Ravenpaw would have been, not would have, might have made a fine warrior. Oh my god. The backhanded or backpawed, I guess, compliment here. Even when he's pretending to be sad about Ravenpaw's death, he can't even say that he would have made a good warrior, but that he might have made a good warrior. Wow. Bluestar says, "We will miss Ravenpaw, but we shall mourn him tomorrow. First, there is another ritual that must be performed. One I know that Ravenpaw would have taken pleasure in." And she asks White Storm if Firepaw and Greypaw showed great courage tonight and if they fought well. And White Storm says that they fought like warriors. And Bluestar looks up at the sky of stars and says, "I, Bluestar, leader of ThunderClan, call upon my warrior ancestors to look down on these two apprentices." She asks the apprentices if they promise to uphold the warrior code and protect and defend ThunderClan even at the cost of their lives. And Firepaw feels a fire within his belly. I feel like that's quite intentionally symbolic. And he realizes that everything that has led him to this point has been for this moment. And he says, "I do, and so does Greypaw." "Then by the powers of StarClan, I give you your warrior names. Greypaw, from this moment you will be known as Greystripe." Yes, Greystripe! And the first time the narrator uses Greystripe's name is when it says, "Bluestar stepped forward and rested her muzzle on top of Greystripe's bowed head." And then Bluestar looks at Firepaw for a while without saying anything, and then finally she says, "Firepaw, from this moment you will be known as Fireheart." And when she goes to rest her muzzle on his head, she says, "Fireheart, I'm proud to have you as my warrior. Serve your clan well, young one." And the first time the narrator uses Fireheart's name is Fireheart's muscles were trembling so much that he could hardly stoop to lick Bluestar's shoulder. He purred hoarsely to show his thanks, and then he goes over to be with Greystripe. And then the clan chants, "Fireheart, Greystripe, Fireheart, Greystripe." And Bluestar says, as it is tradition, these new warriors will be in silent vigil until the morning. And as everyone goes to their dens to go to sleep, Tiger Claw walks past Fireheart and hisses, "Don't think you can outwit me, kitty pet. Be careful what you tell Bluestar." And Fireheart hurries straight to Bluestar and says, "I know I'm breaking the vow of silence, but I must speak with you before I begin my vigil." And Bluestar says, "No, you can wait till the morning. This is an important ritual." And Fireheart listens, knowing that they wouldn't be able to solve the problem of Tiger Claw overnight anyway. And so Fireheart and Greystripe sit beside each other in the middle of the clearing, saying nothing, glowing silver in the moonlight. And I think this is the moment where they're depicted in some of the chapter art, like for chapter 24, and the cover art for book 2, because it's an orange cat and a gray cat next to each other with the moon behind them. Now, I was thinking this is the full moon, but actually I don't think it is. Like, we can see the entire moon, but it's more lit up on the bottom right side of it than the rest of it, so I think it's not the full moon. And I love that chapter art. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for book 2. And Fireheart closed his eyes and recalled the dreams of his kittenhood. Oh, it's such a cute word. Kittenhood, like childhood. Oh my gosh, it's so adorable. And the life of a warrior stretched ahead of him. But then he opens his eyes and sees Tiger Claw's eyes glowing from the warrior's den, staring at him. Firepaw knows he's stronger and wiser than he was when he first joined this clan. If he was destined to oppose Tiger Claw, then so be it. Fireheart was ready for the challenge. And that's the end of chapter 25 and the end of book 1, Into the Wild. We did it. Oh my god. Wow. It feels good. I feel accomplished. And I'm really looking forward to keeping this podcast going. I'm very proud of what this podcast is, even if I don't have a substantial audience at the moment. A huge thank you to those early subscribers who have been with me throughout this book. And I hope you'll stay and follow me on this journey. I did have a few other notes in here from last week where I was thinking about Broken Star because it was some things that didn't happen in this chapter that I thought I remembered happening. So maybe they happen in a later story. I don't even remember if Broken Star makes another appearance or not. So I'm about to talk about that, but I'll keep it in the spoiler version because I didn't really say many spoilers in this chapter. So these might not even be spoilers because I don't even know if they happen, but just to be safe, I will keep them in the bonus version. So here I go. So that was my little explanation. I just cut it out for the non-spoiler version, but whichever version you're listening to, thank you so much. As far as what's next, before I start book 2, I'm going to be doing some bonus episodes. I'm going to be reacting to the Pink Bunny Girl 43 version of the Warrior Cats movie adaptation using Littlest Pet Shops for Into the Wild. I've seen it before, but I want to watch it again now that I've just finished reading the book. And then I'm also going to be reacting to a recent Hank Green video about Warrior Cats. So those will be 2 different bonus episodes. And then I'm also going to be doing an allegiances breakdown of going over the descriptions of the characters in this book. Because I didn't want to do that at the very beginning because it kind of is spoilers for myself. Even though I have read this book already, I wanted to remember the characters as I went through the story. And I think this is supposed to be a guide as you read through. You can go back and look at because there's a lot of characters. It's a lot to keep track of. So this is a breakdown of who's in which clan, what their position is in the clan, and what they look like. So I definitely want to read through it. I'll just probably be doing it at the end of each book. But yeah, so that's the bonus content to look forward to. And even if you're not subscribed to see that extra stuff, I'm going to be posting the first episode of book 2 next week. So all that bonus stuff will be in between. So we won't miss a beat with me coming back in a week for the next regular episode. So with that, thank you so much for listening. I've had so much fun on this journey so far, and I'm really looking forward to what's to come in the future. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And this has been Into the World of Warrior Cats.